listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
All right, so I took the advice Andrea Warner gave on watched Severance.
Ooh.
2 episodes.
Okay.
And now I feel very unsettled about work.
Oh, it's not going to get more comfortable. I'll tell you that much.
How many episodes in are you? Oh, you watched them as well?
I watched them before.
I'm only up to episode 6, so I still have a few to go.
Oh, I'm only
But
at
I
episode 2.
found it a little hard to. I'm just like, I gotta need to space these out because it's a lot.
It's intense.
It's a lot to think about.
But it is. It's a lot to think about with work. And it's funny because the things I'm thinking about is it's like the absolute flip side of watching The Office for comfort. When you're having one of those bleak little moments and you watch The Office and then you start watching this and you're thinking, oh my gosh, they're like faking the Office life. And so many thoughts are going through my head now.
So you're just done episode 2.
Yeah.
Do you think you're gonna stick with it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I want to know where we're going. Plus Christopher Walken showed up, so things are good when he shows up.
I gotta say, again, only at episode 6, it has gone places that I had not anticipated, and I feel personally, maybe I just need to watch different shows, but it's kind of rare that a show really surprises me.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh, I can't imagine where it's going to go then. Although I am super enjoying the performance of Patricia Arquette.
She's
think
great.
She is fascinating. And I love when people put her in a show because I feel like they're saying, okay, this is a Patricia Arquette thing. She's someone we could explore in one of our watching their career. Has been fascinating.
Yeah. I also really love, I can't remember her name right now, but the person who plays Helly,
she's
I think
really
is giving
good.
an incredible performance.
Yeah. No, I just meant for creepy levels. When you put Patricia
creepy
Arquette
levels,
in something, things are going to be unsettling.
Well, when literally the character's persona is as steely as her hair, it's just deeply unnerving.
Yeah, I wanted to offer a warning to people because I think it's interesting timing to start watching this show. And I think that people are being asked to go back to work now that we've just established that that's probably not the place for us. And, and here we are. So just a little warning that should you be ambivalent about going back to your workplace, let's say that you've had some, time where you've been working from home and somebody, is telling you it's good. It's really good to get back to work. You'll really enjoy it. Just know that if you watch this show, you're probably going to run screaming down long, meandering hallways, never to be found again.
The hallway work is honestly just what a masterclass in hallway work.
And Ben Stiller directing it too, hey?
I know, but you think about Aaron Sorkin and The Walk and Talk and how he had so much credit for sort of that particular sort of television device. This Walk and Talk work really puts a lot of that to shame.
Yeah. It is such a fascinating cast of people too, though. The actors, it almost has that British feel where they put really great actors in things and, that you haven't seen for a while. But I guess maybe that's just still part of what's so great about watching television over movies I segued.
You did segue. Yeah.
I did segue.
But I just wanted to, if we're done talking about Severance, because we should probably have an episode about Severance if we're going to continue to talk about it.
Yeah,
I think so too. But I think we should wait till the end. I think I think like Lisa and I should get through watching it, and then we should do an episode about Severance.
So how many
Yeah.
episodes are there in total? 8? 10?
I can't remember.
I don't know. But yeah, I think like so many people are talking about the show. I think we should talk about it.
Oh, I think so
It,
too.
it also plays into like the zeitgeist of the moment.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're all talking about work, and we're now talking about Severance. So,
Well, and I also
yeah.
love I love anything that sort of wants to sort of blow up the idea of work as a substitute for family, and how that's like something so extra depressingly capitalistic about like telling you over and over and over again that a work environment should be a substitute for family. I love shows that explore this.
Oh,
As much as I
yeah.
enjoy like a situational workplace comedy, I'm also watching Abbott Elementary.
Which I
love
love.
that,
Yeah,
too.
love it. Love
Like,
it.
it's-
Yeah.
They're very different shows, and I love them both equally.
I don't think Abbott Elementary is trying to tell us that this is a fantastic place, though, at the work.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no one's trying to convince us that they're just one big happy family.
No,
there
not at
either.
all.
So
But anyway, I was going to mention that just as you took Andrea Warner's recommendation, Andrea Warner took my recommendation and got a haircut.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I did.
I
Spring
know.
haircut. Look, last week we were all just influencing each other like you
I
wouldn't
know.
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't had a haircut in 3 years, and so I went in there. I went online. I found the person that I wanted to see, who I had only ever had one haircut before with, and that was 3 years ago. And I was explaining to her that like because of the way my hair is, I really only get a haircut a year. Like my hair grows, it's mostly fine, doesn't need work, and I don't get like intricate cuts that require maintenance. And so I was a couple months away from like going back to her when the pandemic hit, and I just haven't gone yet. So I put on my mask and I went, and it was great.
I never really realized until I looked at your hair and you were talking about your hair, but like, cause my hair is totally straight, but yours is curly.
Yeah.
And so it can grow a long time without like showing length. Cause it's
Yes.
just like a spring. And then when you pull it down, it's super long. Like I just never thought about that before.
Yeah. When it's like wet and when it like, I mean, I guess as of last week, like she cut off, I would say like 6 to 8 inches.
Yeah. At
Like
least.
somewhere in there. But a lot of it was really super dead. And like, you know, even though I kept giving myself trims throughout everything, I guess I gave myself like 3 or 4 trims maybe throughout it. But it was just to like try and keep it like healthy or whatever. So
It
but
is
this
a
is
great
the shortest
cut.
I've had it in forever. So this is
You look
I-
amazing.
You do,
Thank
and I
you.
want to apologize in advance that when people gush over how great your hair looks, you're like, and what did I look like before? But that's not the point here. That is not the point here. Good.
No, I will say, like, I've always been, my hair is not an area where I lack confidence. I may lack confidence in other areas of my appearance, but it's definitely not my hair. So I've always been like fairly pleased with like what my hair does. I stopped dyeing it a long time ago. I just like let it do its own thing. I try to just put some conditioner in it and let it be.
You're very
I know
lucky.
I don't even use conditioner anymore. And then now my hair is so short. I bought one of those shampoo bars
Oh yeah.
that you just like rub on your head a couple times.
Uh-huh.
And it's awesome. I love it. I highly recommend that to everybody because it it cuts down on having to buy plastic packaging and stuff. Like you can just buy these little soap shampoos and like you can get conditioner too, but I just get shampoo square, and it just is like rub it on your head a couple times and it totally suds up. It's awesome.
Oh wow.
Wow. Well, if I don't actually wash and condition my hair, it's just a big, sloppy, insane mess. So some days I plan my days where I'm not going to wash my hair when the days I'm not going out, and then I don't wash it.
Oh wow. Yeah, no, I only wash my hair like once every 5 to 6 days.
Yeah, no. If I'm going out, I've got to wash it, or else it's just a lanky, sad, just like you can tell people like they probably would say, "Are you not feeling well?" Because it would have that I slept on it and it sculpted in a strange way. So I absolutely have to watch it if I'm going out. But tomorrow I'm working from home, so this thing is just gonna get left to its own devices.
Just staying
Love
doing
it.
its own thing.
Just let it do its own thing. I have to say that our discussion of hair does actually segue very well.
There's a lot of hair happening in this film. There's
Yeah.
a lot of wig action happening in this film. Honestly, there's a lot of face action happening in this film. Like, everyone has what can only, I think, be described as like fake faces. Like, I don't require that level of cosmetic makeup accoutrement to think that people are acting in roles. Like, it just, I don't know. Did you guys need like the giant square jaw filler kind of look to buy into these characters?
I don't. I mean, you know what? Jessica Chastain has said in an interview. She thinks that she did permanent damage to her skin from all the amount of heavy makeup that she had to wear for this role.
Oh
Well,
my
she made her
gosh.
choices.
Yeah, there you go.
I can't even believe how much this movie made me kind of angry at Jessica Chastain. Anyway, we'll get into it. I'm Andrea Warner,
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
and you're listening to Pop This. And yes, you guessed it probably. We are talking about The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
So wait a minute. You're mad at Jessica Chastain personally for this movie?
Yeah, it's her fault that it got made. She optioned it, and she made it happen. She is, and I haven't even been able to listen to the You're Wrong About interview with her, about her talking about like Tammy Faye as like a misunderstood person. Because I'm like, you know, I learned some stuff in this movie, and I don't regret seeing it fully. But I'm like not that interested in what Jessica Chastain's like done to this particular depiction of Tammy Faye, which is like kind of made her like toothless, simple, and completely like trying to pretend she's like not complicit in any element at all of like her life. And
Well, she didn't go to jail.
No, she did not, but that's easy. Lots of rich people don't go to jail.
No, but I meant in terms of her husband was the one that was found guilty. So
Sure.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
mean, again, makes sense. But I just, oh God,
I really had to jog my memory to back to like what this story was about, because it kind of had like faded for me.
Yeah,
And just like rewatching the movie, I had to like sort of like look it up on Wikipedia what the actual story is and just go over the like details, because I had totally forgotten about it.
I have one word review for this movie. It was long. We can establish that. It was over 2 hours, so there was that.
I knew you were going to bring that
I'm
part
going to say,
up.
is what your one word like edit?
No, it's
Okay.
this word. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Unnecessary.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that's the thing. Like, it just,
I don't understand why this was made. There's a documentary that is perfectly states whatever you need it to state, and you can go on YouTube and see everything you want. I just, you know, because we were doing this, I watched a 99 interview with her on David Letterman when she was, you know, on the other side of her career, remarried, other things. So it's all out there. You do not need this movie.
well, this is the thing. Like, this idea that, and I mean, you know, I think this is talked about a little, I guess we'll get into it later on, but I just like feel like, what good does it do us to like, so You're Wrong About the podcast series, the original episode that they did when Michael Hobbs was still part of the show. They talked about Jessica Hahn and Jim Baker and that whole Jessica Hahn and her accusations of rape at the hands of Jim Baker and his co-minister being drugged. Like, they talked about that entire thing and Tammy, Faye, and Jim Baker in general. So they did a You're Wrong about sort of, but that's like looking at like sort of like the media landscape of like how the media told that particular story. And it wasn't about like at all or any interest in sort of like rehabilitating anyone's reputations. Like, it wasn't about sort of like being like, oh, we had our ideas of who Tammy Faye were wrong the entire time. No, like, we got the story wrong because we didn't have enough information at the time. Like, we didn't, like, there was a lot of they did these things. Jim Baker was found guilty, sentenced to 45 years in prison. That prison sentence ends up getting reduced to 8 years, like, eventually. Like, there's a bunch of stuff in this movie that they really gloss over. Like, they just refer to the girl and the trouble with the girl, and they don't really address anything in any kind of satisfactory way, which makes it feel like this movie is just about, like, Jessica Chastain has decided that it's like she is going to rescue misunderstood rich Christian white women from, like, history, like just being I don't know. I was very frustrated with this experience.
Yeah, I mean, it is sort of along the lines of like that Tonya Harding movie that we got recently. Although I think that
Tanya,
to me
that one?
anyway,
Yeah.
that like me as a figure skating fan rethinking Tonya Harding, I appreciated that experience because I think that the media did judge her wrong, but in this case, I'm not so sure.
Tanya, I think, does very different things, and Tonya Harding had a very different treatment. Like, Tammy Faye Baker, yes, she gets made fun of because of, like, her makeup and her appearance, and we know it's not cool or fun to judge people based on their appearance. Like, I guess I'm there for, like, that particular sort of retelling, but, like, just this idea that she was a friend to queer folks, and like, she still was, like, hugely complicit in being in this church that, like, was explicitly against gay people, was explicitly about, like, getting money because of, I don't know, Jesus wanted her to have, like, fur coats. Like, I find it all so gross and so yucky, and I hate it.
Yeah, and as a biopic, what I really dislike are ones I say that are just based on a Wikipedia. It's chronological. We're just going through the bullet points of a Wikipedia entry, and I feel that's unnecessary. I prefer those documentaries that are going to be about a slice, a particular time, like, just do as you're mentioning, the Jessica Hahn, just do the court case, just do how they got started, take on one subject, 1 week, 1 year, 1 month or something, rather than just exhaust us with, it's now this year, it's now this year. And you're like, oh, okay, should I know this year? Was it significant? I don't know. And then way too much singing. I mean,
a lot of singing.
Really? Why? Why?
I felt that's the thing. I would like Righteous Gemstones. Have you guys watched Righteous Gemstones?
No, but I've heard it's very good.
Okay. I would 1,000% rather watch Righteous Gemstones than I have. And I just the other no, I'm gonna
wait. We haven't even gotten to the background or synopsis.
No, I know.
Your
Okay,
thoughts keep going. Your thoughts.
Sorry,
you're like,
you're right. Honestly, like, this whole episode is just gonna be me groaning in frustration. I'm so sorry in advance. All right, I will happily read this background here. And also let's just, like, point out Jessica Chastain won an Oscar for Best Actress for this performance.
Yeah.
You're so mad. I haven't seen you this mad since we
Benedict
talked about
Cumberbatch?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes.
Oh, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Where we're gonna have, like, our wall of celebrities that make you mad.
Yeah. So The Eyes of Tammy Faye is a 2021 American biographical drama film directed by Michael Showalter, based on the 2000 documentary of the same name by Fenton Bailey and Randy Barbado of World of Wonder. The film tells the story of Tammy Faye Baker, played by Jessica Chastain, from her humble beginnings growing up in International Falls, Minnesota, ironically named, through the rise and fall of her televangelism career and marriage to Jim Baker, who's played by Andrew Garfield. Cherry Jones and Vincent D'Onofrio also star. They're not given much to do. Screenplay is by Abe Sylvia, and Jessica Chastain is one of the film's producers. So it did win awards. 94th Academy Awards. Jessica won Best Actress. And then there was also Best Makeup and Hairstyling. And Jessica Chastain also won the SAG Award and Critics' Choice Movie Award for Best Actress.
Did it seem like a particularly thin year for...
I wish I could have taken a screenshot of your face when you said that last sentence.
My eyes are rolling out of my head.
All right, well, I'll take on the synopsis here, such as it is. The film is an intimate look at the extraordinary rise, fall, and redemption of televangelist Tammy Faye Baker. In the 1970s and 80s, Tammy Faye and her husband, Jim Baker, rose from humble beginnings to create the world's largest religious broadcasting network and theme park, and were revered for their message of love, acceptance, and prosperity. Tammy Faye was legendary for her indelible eyelashes, her idiosyncratic singing, and her eagerness to embrace people from all walks of life. However, it wasn't long before financial improprieties, scheming rivals, and scandal toppled their carefully constructed empire. You know, if anything, I would say that's an exaggeration of just inept people doing their inept best to be inept.
That's the thing. Like, so does this movie, this movie seems to sort of want it both ways. Like, these two are kind of greedy, greedy, sort of desperate people who desperately want to convey their love for Jesus, desperately want to believe that they're special because Jesus speaks to them, and they're slightly simple. Mm-hmm. Or are they kind of craven grifters who use showmanship to dupe a ton of people because and eventually you believe your own lies that of course Jesus wants me to have all this stuff, this is how I can do good work or whatever. And
but that's the one question I have, is that I know while I realized that Jim Baker, what he did was a crime and he was convicted and went to jail, but when they're showing those scenes of them talking about their personal, Tammy Faye breaking down and talking about her marriage infidelity on screen on their show, and they're getting people calling in to donate. What do those people think they're donating for? What are they giving money for? What do you think the expectation is of someone who's phoning in at that moment to donate $50 to them?
Well, I think they're seeing themselves reflect, they're seeing that even people who are supposed to be sort of in positions of power have faults, right? Not everyone is perfect, and only God is perfect. Everyone else is a sinner. And so therefore they, and also their ministry is a little bit different than say Falwell, right? Falwell, she's pointing out that Falwell's this Baptist, fire brimstone, everyone's getting punished. Whereas her and Jim are love everyone, we love you, and they're smiling, and these sort of gross grins, but they're also grifting tons and tons of people, and they're saying we're gonna keep doing this work and God will love you by giving us money. If you give money to what we're doing God's work. And I feel that's what they were constantly selling.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wonder what the average donor, they're giving their money because they think they're paying for what, the television show to be produced or the theme park to be built. I just wonder what their expectation is.
I don't think you're meant to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, but it's the same. It's the same thing when you get an election and you have a candidate that they say got the sympathy vote. it doesn't make sense that you would vote that way at all, because you think you would be a better person to go and look at someone's policies and how they stand on certain issues. But instead, they'll call it the sympathy vote. And it seems to me that's what this money comes in from, this bizarre sense of sympathy for her. And it doesn't make any sense at all, but I've never donated, so I don't know.
Well, and likability, and the fact that like she's confessing on TV that she is a woman who was led astray, but through the power of God, she has realized what she's done wrong. Like, honestly, God is working there. They are setting it up so perfectly that like this is how God works. And this is what your money supports, is like us doing God's work. And here we are like showing you all of this like frailty and like fallibility, and we're not perfect, but like we have fun and we sing and we rejoice, and we're telling you that like prosperity, like it's very clear, like when in the beginning when Jim Bakker like is at school and like him and Tammy end up like doing flirting by quoting scripture at each other, which honestly I've never seen that dance before, and that was interesting. But like when he's on stage and he's like, you know, all of these people who are telling you that you have to be like miserable and you have to give everything that you make to like other people, and charity is charity is how you like really serve God. He's telling them, no, prosperity is how you serve God. God wants you to have things. God wants capitalism. And it's wild. Like this is how we get to mega churches now. Like this is just, yeah.
But so, like, you donate money because Tammy, you feel sympathy for her watching her say this on her television show. And then you find out that she spent it on a fur coat. Like, are you mad about that?
No, because God wants her to have those things. And you want those things personally too.
Well, I think also you have some sort of sense that it comes back to you too.
Exactly.
That you are getting some kind of perk as well. So, which is why people throw in money all the time. I mean, yeah, it would be much better if you were putting your money in and someone said this is going to actual refugees or to children or to inner city soup kitchens. But that's not what we're dealing with here.
But they did say that like they've got all these houses set up on these different estates. They've got like ministries around the world. They're like satelliting out to 20 million people in like the 70s. Like that, like the fourth largest network was their network. And they're not talking about like just like fringe Christian networks. Like they're talking about like, NBC, CBS, ABC, and then PTL. Like,
see, no, that is the stuff that I would have rather seen. I would have rather seen a movie, which is what I'm talking about, obviously, as a documentary, that took more care in, getting out those facts that are interesting rather than set pieces. I feel like we watched a movie with a lot of set pieces. I feel like there was some sense of recreating scenes, like the interview with Ted Koppel, or when, she confessed to her infidelity and then sang. It just felt like an odd karaoke version of a documentary.
Yeah, and it felt like Oscar bait, which it was, and I guess it did that successfully. But like, you get a bunch of sort of showy set pieces, showy performances, and a ton of makeup to age you from the age of like 20 to 60.
Yeah. For what? And what did
for
we
what?
For what? Like we didn't get anything. Like I this is the part that I don't even, and you know what? The title doesn't even make any sense. So
no.
I mean,
no,
where
like
we weren't even
really...
I thought they were playing around with the idea, yeah, we get it that she wears lots of mascara, but I thought we were going to see the story through her eyes, but we didn't.
They don't even show us like when she starts doing that to her eyelashes.
No.
We don't see anything
or how it's done.
Yeah. And honestly, you're right. We don't really see this movie through her first person experience at all. Like often it's happening to her. We're sort of getting glimpses. There is this expectation that all of us are going to come in knowing everything already about the backstory. Like AJ, you said you had to like look up some stuff and I I guess I have listened to the You're Wrong about, recently. And I was always really fascinated by this because I'm always super fascinated by like big evangelical, I don't know what you would want to call them, but like, just like big evangelical nonsense where like they're like, stealing from like basically like all of their congregants and stuff. Like I'm always very interested in that because I find it like extra gross. And I don't like it. It really distresses me.
I do find it a fascinating world. It is.
It's super fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's very disturbing. But the other thing that I was, so like, can I just say like, so I looked up like, what happened next with Tammy Faye. Cause like it ends at this part where she's like, so she married Roe Messner. Anyway, she marries the guy who's in the movie who's like funding, like the guy that they're trying to like.
Oh, that guy.
She marries that guy who's like giving all this money. He's built like 1,000 churches and mega churches. Like that's his racket. And it was his money that went to, buy off Jessica Hahn, allegedly. And so like as soon as she gets her divorce from Jim, she marries this guy. And they're married from 1992 to 2007 when she dies. And so she stays in the same racket. Like I know she does like a bit more outreach work and she's like, talking about how we have to love everyone and that's good. And there's some moments in the movie where it does get me and I feel like some empathy towards her in certain moments and stuff. Like I think there are a few things that sort of Jessica Chastain does really well. But like for the most part, this movie does not treat Tammy Faye with any kind of actual like respect or integrity.
No.
Did you?
We
One
don't
of
even
the
understand
other
why she's doing anything.
No.
One of the other surprising things that I read about the postscript to the whole story is that Jim Baker is on TV again.
I've seen him. Yeah.
He currently has a TV show.
Yeah.
He has been so he only served 8 years. He married a former televangelist as well. In
Lori Beth Graham.
Yeah. They adopted 5 children on top of the 2 he had with Tammy Faye, BT dubs. And yeah, he's still running his 700 Club. Like he revived PTL Ministries. Like
I didn't
as
know
if nothing happened.
That seems like you shouldn't be able to do that after you've been convicted of a crime like he was. Like you think he'd be banned from doing that.
Well, how do you ban someone from being a televangelist? It's
I
not a
guess
real
so.
job.
Well, also, like, he ends up getting his sentence reduced from 45 years to 8 years. And he's part of what they allege in the film is like really this sort of hardcore Christian powerhouse, like political bloc that can get presidents elected and have led to this moment in our time, like politically. Neat. That's another movie I would have really rather seen. Honestly.
I would like to learn something about that. Yeah.
Again, you'd rather see a documentary, is what
God,
you're saying.
I would.
Yeah.
You know what? I would. I just would.
And that's what always happens after a bad biopic to me. It just makes me want to go what you did. Do research. Like, look up. And I don't know if that's the function of a biopic, is to make you want to go and do your own independent research so you can fill in the gaps that they didn't bother to fill in for you.
Well, I find it especially strange that they glossed over the whole Jessica Hahn part of the story.
Yeah, it was just a line like, oh, by the way, I slept with a woman and I paid her. That was it.
Yeah.
And then when she goes to when Tammy Faye goes to visit Jim in jail, she says, "Oh, what you did to that girl."
Yeah.
That's it. But they never actually come right out and be like, and at all acknowledge the fact that like this woman's still alive. This woman's name is coming up all the time. Like and
it was such a huge, global story. You know what I mean? Like it's not something that we had to, we have to dig to read about or find out about. Like, it's part of the pop culture.
Perhaps it's the
You
problem
know.
with Jessica Chastain as the producer. And it was like, this will be a movie where I am in every scene.
It really
Because
she is.
she is. Where we needed some more to go on. We needed some other things to happen. I mean, I would say that the most, the only scene I can really think of where I thought we were getting somewhere is when she's having that almost affair with that country singer.
Yeah.
That was about the only time I saw that we were getting into her interior life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And like, I feel like this is like the kind of film where like Jessica Chastain had wanted to make it for I think like 10 years, almost 10 years or something. Like she got defensive of Tammy Faye. Like she wanted to feel good about this character that she was going to inhabit. And like you can be critical of someone and still like care about them as a character. Like you don't do anyone any favors by sort of like, making them kind of like in one moment incredibly like just naive and having zero agency, and in another moment like she knows that she has like she wants to be on television, she wants to sing, like she makes all these things happen for herself.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't have any sort of like character development really between her having equal footing in her relationship with Jim, in as much as you could in a sort of evangelical situation, to like her having zero agency at all, and the pill addiction and the shopping addiction. Like there's zero to 60.
Yeah, exactly. On most of the things to do with her, there isn't that one moment where she takes a pill. It's like, oh, she saw something that upset her, so she just throws back 5 or 6 pills, and okay, it didn't mean anything.
Yeah, there's no nuance to this like film really.
No, I think we had more to say about Severance, and I've only watched 2 episodes.
Well, it's kind of fascinating to think about Michael Showalter as the director here, right? Like, he's like,
He's a comedian actor, right?
Yeah, he gave us like
Wet Hot Summer.
Yeah, Wet Hot Summer. Like, I know he's done other stuff. I know he's like, a decent director. Like, I'm not disputing that. But like, I'm just so curious as to how he became the one involved. Because like, it doesn't make sense to me.
And was Olivia Colman not nominated for Best? Was it just?
Oh, she was.
She was. Okay.
She was.
All right. Okay. Because that was an excellent movie that we had a hard time stopping to talk about. And her performance was incredible. And I'm more baffled now than I ever was.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where I don't think many people saw this movie prior to the Oscars. And then, like lots of people were being talked about for Best Actress nomination. I forget. We should look up like who were the front runners this year, because it is now fallen out of my head. Oh, Kristen Stewart, Olivia Colman.
Kristen Stewart, we were like, again, that was a way better performance. And in terms of a biopic, there you go. They just took that one Christmas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you use that as a metaphor for her entire life.
Nicole Kidman in Being the Ricardos.
I mean, that was terrible too, by the way. Just
Yeah.
Penelope Cruz and Madras.
Did not.
Oh, I heard
Sarah
that was
Lewis.
amazing. I heard Penelope Cruz was really genuinely great in that.
Yeah.
So-
But it's one of those things where it seemed like, Jessica Chastain started picking up a lot of momentum because she won the SAG Award and the Critics' Choice Movie Award. And then, like, all of a sudden she was, like, the front runner in the category. And it seemed to come out of, like, nowhere.
It did. It did seem. And I was kind of
did.
surprised when she won because we hadn't really, spent any time thinking about it. And we had on the other films, and they were so good. Like, this was actually, those were some good performances.
Yeah, like this was not.
This was
Like,
not, this was just imitating. This was just like, Halloween.
yeah, it felt like dress up.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. So just like I'm stuck on this Michael Showalter thing for a second. I'm sorry, but like the most recent thing the most recent things he's directed, The Lovebirds, which I liked. I thought that was great. With Issa Rae and Kumail
Oh, yeah.
Nanjiani.
Yeah, we enjoyed that.
Yeah,
then
that was
the-
funny, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then The Big Sick. Like those are the last two things he directed. I don't know how you jump from those to The Eyes of Tammy Faye, but like honestly, it would have been better if they had kind of had an I, Tonya approach to it, because at least that had like
A point of view.
a point of view,
focus.
like,
Yeah.
a bit of a style. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it just, it was, yeah.
Yeah, I would have been interested in like just hearing about like how she came to develop her style. And like that's what I thought the story was about, because it was called The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Mhm.
The Eyes of Tammy Faye. And it's like we don't really get into any insight about like how she goes from, her look in the 50s at Bible school to how she looks in the 80s being a televangelist. Like there's
No,
Yeah.
that would have been a
No
great montage.
insight.
I would have loved that scene, like a good montage of her trying out different looks and, thinking about what image she wants to project. It would have been fascinating.
Well, because the first scene is like her saying, like, my makeup's tattooed on.
yeah.
And so I just felt like that set it up to be like this, to at least like go back to that point at somewhere in the movie and discuss it a bit more.
We never come back to that moment.
Yeah.
No, we don't. I
It's so
thought it was gonna
weird.
wrap
Like,
around too. Yeah.
Do you think that was edited out? Or do you think that was just never part of the story?
I honestly could not tell you, because this woman wrote 3 biographies, 3 memoirs in her life. So there is stuff out there that is her perspective. Like if they wanted to, they could easily have mined her own literal words
Yeah.
for
Exactly.
this film.
Yeah.
And they chose to base it off of the documentary, which, I mean, honestly, I think I would be interested in seeing the documentary that it's based on, because that would, I hope, fill in a lot of gaps for me.
Yeah.
And I went into this knowing quite a bit, but I did not know that Jim was on the air again.
There are such
Me neither.
mysterious scenes that they kept in as well, because that one extremely long scene with him answering the phone. It was
Yeah.
just and her putting lotion on her hands. I was just baffled by that. I thought, is something going to happen? Why are we watching this? And then he makes some sort of crack. Well, you now you know why I don't want to be with you or something. And I don't know. And they also really were not clear on why they were showing us gay rumors, but then there was a woman involved. Like, what was all, like, again, focus.
So apparently there were lots and lots and lots of different sort of allegations that Jim Baker, at the very least, was bisexual, and that he did have a relationship with
His
I think
assistant
that
there?
the assistant that was called like the boy servant or something. I can't remember what one tabloid called him or whatever. And so there's all kinds of like allegations about stuff like that, and like, but I mean, like, and sure, lots of allegations and stuff like that. That's fine. Like, I would really, really like. I needed them to address the rape accusation.
Mm-hmm.
In a movie, like
how did that make her feel to hear that?
yeah, like it's she's talking of like she does address it a tiny bit when she goes to see him in jail, but in the same way that like a parent might chide a child for like getting jam on the wall or something. Like, it's just the impact of it. And she doesn't seem to have any like capacity for understanding the scope of like what the sort of like extent of wrongdoing is.
Yeah, because you would think in real life that would be like a major life happening to her, like the Jessica Hahn part of the story, because it's not only like husband infidelity, but it also plays a role in bringing down their ministry.
Well, and a violent sexual assault that like involves drugging and sexual assault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's and it does bring down the ministry, because like that's where they discover like the secret books and like the 2 different accounts, and just none of it seems to penetrate her at all. And I don't know, like I don't find like hiding behind a veil of like, but I love everybody. Like I'm sorry, that's not really like enough of a reason to never ever address your complicity in stuff that has happened. Like it's not.
I would like to have known what she knew. I would like to have something, but it was very, they left it so muddled.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's not about like holding her accountable for her husband's behavior, but at the very least holding her accountable for what she benefits from through this, like, because I mean, but also like if she's selling all these records and these records are like charting, like where's all the money going? I mean, I know theme parks are expensive, but like,
is that still going, that theme park? I'd be fascinated.
I have no idea, but you're right. I want to know that too now.
Yeah, I'd see a documentary on that theme park.
Sorry to keep going back to this, but was tattooed makeup like a big thing in the 80s? Or was that unusual for her to do?
I mean,
that seems like an extremely weird thing to do. But.
I think it was 1994 is the marker in the film where they talk about her having that tattooed on. Maybe she did have it earlier than that. I don't know. But like the time stamp of that particular scene when we start the film, and she says it's tattooed on, is 1994. And I do know that for sure it was happening in the early 90s, because I had some friends' moms who had eyeliner tattooed on and eyebrows tattooed on, and it was already happening for sure.
Wow. It's a bold choice, and I could have watched a documentary about that.
Truly.
Well, yeah. I mean, because like eyebrows, there's still like, like microblading and stuff like that is popular now with eyebrows, but you don't really hear about people getting makeup tattooed on.
No.
Yeah. Not anymore.
No, not anymore. No.
This is sort of interesting to me. Like, I'm gonna read a quote from the outline that you gave, AG. The Eyes of Tammy Faye arrives at a time when we're having these major reappraisals of maligned female figures from the 80s, 90s, and early aughts. Britney Spears, Monica Lewinsky, Tanya Harding. But Tammy Faye Baker never really owned up to her part in the corruption behind the prosperity gospel she and her husband promoted. And despite her generosity towards the gay community and her work with AIDS patients, she never stopped considering homosexuality a sin. Are we in danger of pushing the pendulum too far and stripping these women of their own agency? That's Anne Hornaday in the Washington Post was writing about that. And I know we've sort of touched on it, but like I also feel like Monica Lewinsky and Britney Spears do not belong in the same category of Tammy Faye Baker and Tanya Harding.
No.
Like, my God. There's a difference between like
actual crimes.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, like maligned women versus like people who have committed crimes and benefited from criminal behavior. Like, yikes.
Yeah, but I get the point of, saying that people are revisiting and rethinking about what the media said and, what their feelings were about, human beings. But as you said, it's completely different when somebody is definitely stealing money. So that's a whole other issue. And trying to destroy someone's legs with a crowbar. So
it's just like just this idea that like you can lump all maligned women under the same umbrella of maligned women. Like I am here for every like media reappraisal and like really looking at what the media's culpability is in terms of what it has done to, and very specifically what it has done to women. Like that's my bread and butter. Love it. I do a lot of that kind of writing and journalism myself. But like, holy smokes, we have to be more careful. Like this person, Anne, is furthering the problem of media by lumping these people all together for the purpose of having like one of these like hypothetical like scaremongery. Are we going too far? Like, I mean, empathy can never really go too far. I think it's good for us to take this look at Tammy Faye, and I am here for different appraisals of Tammy Faye. I don't think Jessica Chastain and company have done much of a favor to Tammy Faye, all things considered, because they both reduce her and infantilize her and flatten her.
Check. Agreed.
Well, there's an idea, like I was reading some stuff about like how there seems to be too much of a concern of making her a likable heroine in the story. And it doesn't serve the movie well.
No.
Like that's useless.
I think it's at this point we ask if it pops.
No.
I don't think so.
No. This is like, this never even became a balloon. This was like a sad hospital glove that someone blew up.
A few weeks ago, I was like, oh yeah, I like the Oscars because they tell us about movies that we should be watching that I never otherwise would. And now I take that back because we only watched this movie because of the Oscars, and it was a bad call.
Well, the Oscars aren't doing anything in their favor, that's for sure.
I honestly cannot believe that The Ricardos is not the worst movie nominated at the Oscars.
Well, there's that, everyone. So if you're like watching bad movies, there you go.
It's just, wow. Yeah. I don't get it. I don't understand it. And
I wish people could see your eyes right now because they're just looking off into some kind of
just
place where things are beautiful and smart.
I don't understand how this movie becomes a passion project for someone who is allegedly otherwise kind of like a very progressive figure in Hollywood.
I guess we can't help who fascinates us, and it is.
Yeah, but do you tell on yourself by who fascinates you? I think you might. So this makes me question everything.
Ooh, whoa!
Yeah,
Remember some fighting words.
I know.
Yeah,
I know. I've got like this weird squaring off against like Benedict and Jessica now. What a strange place for me to build my small enemy wall.
Can you imagine if the two of them star in a movie together? That will be like your.
I would rather us watch the entire Twilight franchise,
which I think we should do.
Oh, I do too.
I don't hate that idea.
I love that idea.
We do love to leave our episodes on something we actually recommend and like. AG, would you like to go first?
Sure. Well, Lisa, you're saying you would rather watch documentaries a lot of the time rather than these biopics. But so I'm going to recommend the Doxa Documentary Film Festival that's coming up from May 5th to 15th. They have done like a hybrid festival, so you can buy like an online pass where most of the movies will be available, or you can go to in-person screenings. So you have the option, but get all the programming was announced today, and so I'll put a link to it so you can check it out all online. I'm super excited about it.
A movie like
I've
this
been
will make you just go to documentaries like
yeah, exactly.
a dog
I'm in the mood.
hasn't had water in months.
Truly. Well, thank you. That is perfect. Lisa, what about you?
I am reading a book by the author Marian Keyes. It's called Grown Ups. She writes those sprawling books with just lots of different characters going through regular life, and I can see you're a fan. And
I've interviewed her once. I don't know. I haven't read her work much except for
okay.
this one book, and I interviewed her once for this book.
And
She was lovely.
yeah, good. Okay. Really enjoying the book. It's just a big saga of a sprawling family and all the drama and the different things. So I actually can see it as a mini series, and it probably is one, and I should look that up. But anyway, you should read, if you're looking for a light read, just ambling Irish family, Grown Ups by Marian Keyes.
Nice. I am also recommending something Irish. This is Irish-Canadian production. It is not light, but there are moments of humor. So it's a mini-series called Dead Still, and it follows Brock Blennerhassett, a well-regarded photographer in 1880s Ireland who specializes in memorial portraiture, photographing the recently deceased, as he is drawn into a series of murders which appear to be linked to his work.
Where is you watching this? Is it Netflix?
I got it on Acorn. So we got a 30-day trial for Acorn because I needed to show my grandma the newest Midsummer Murders series. And so then I decided to just dig in, as I haven't been feeling that well. So I watched this Dead Still, and so it's on Acorn. I really enjoyed it. 6 episodes. I don't know that there'll be a second miniseries or not, but it was great.
I only like the OG detective on Midsummer Murders.
Oh, I understand that completely. Yeah. Graham's had a
Barnaby?
the original Barnaby, not the new Barnaby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Graham's
the original. John Nettles is a treasure.
Yeah.
A national treasure.
Yeah.
I just stopped. I watched like a little bit with the new detective, but I didn't like it, so I just stopped.
No, he's quite pompous, and but we also, I mean, I'll save this for next week, but I also decided while we have Acorn to see if Grandma enjoys this show that I've heard about for a long time called Vera. And,
that's good. Yeah.
And so I had never, I interviewed Anne Cleves before. I introduced her at like a writers festival event, and that's how I found out about Vera. And like Anne Cleves is really cool. And I haven't really read any Vera books, but now I've watched the first few episodes of the first season of Vera, and that is Brenda Blethyn, who we might all remember from
Secrets and Lies.
Oh my gosh, yes. Vera is a character that really has challenged both Grandma and I.
Oh, okay.
to make space for and think about what causes tension in us towards her. And a lot of times it's that voice. And so I have to really spend time confronting my own internalized misogyny around that particular voice performance.
Interesting.
It's been fascinating. But the Vera show itself is like very well written. So I
it is.
Yeah.
I love it.
Anyway, Dead Still though, highly recommend. It's been fun.
Excellent.
I mean, it's grim, but it's fun.
Well, lots of better options than the eyes of Tammy Faye, let me tell you.
Oh God, so
yeah,
much
skip
better.
that one.
Yeah.
Skip that one. Yeah, just boy, and yikes. Well, thank you everyone for hanging out with us. You can rate and review us 5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars.
You can also, hang out with us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can also, if you wanted to, like, tell a friend.
Tell 2 friends. In fact, at the end of your own podcast, why not recommend this podcast?
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Yeah, that's our idea.
Nice.
Thanks, as always, to Andrea Gin, our co-host and the producer of Pop This. And thank you for listening. It's a great pleasure. Don't go see this movie. Don't do it.